Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the FDT-TV podcast, available on all streaming platforms in video and audio. If you haven't already, go over to the YouTube channel and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Look for the big yellow cup. That's us. Come and join in the fun. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, good, mate. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Football's back, so it's all exciting. And no VAR controversies. Oh, no,
Yeah.
wait. Only 1 week in, and we're already going to moan about it.
Yep. Strap yourselves in, guys.
But before we get there, there is a question that is to be answered a little bit later in the podcast, and that is who is going to be sacked first? Is it going to be Steven Gerrard or Ralph Hasenhüttl? Or maybe someone else? Stick around to find out. Yeah, VAR controversies. I think we should start with the negative and then build positively from there.
Okay.
What I'm going to say is it was I think on the most part, it was pretty good, if I'm honest. I thought the refereeing standard was pretty good as well. But it comes again from the same person it always comes from, and that is Paul Tierney, who is a fucking joke of a ref.
Yep.
It's his management. You sent me a very interesting link, which I hadn't seen, from Sky Sports and their Ref Watch. And I think they hit the nail on the head. This upper level of football, and it's teething problems. It's not teething problems, it's bad refereeing, because you've got a room full of people, a stadium full of people, a whole country, a worldwide full of people that can see it's clear and obvious error apart from the person in the fucking VAR room.
Yep.
Someone should lose a job. What I did look for, without, after that, watching that, was a statement from the FA or the Premier League or the Refereeing Association. There isn't one. So I don't think they're rising to it. I think they're just going to sort of bury their head and hope that it goes away. But go on, I'll let you explain obviously what happened and then maybe go into your thoughts on what you think is the issue.
So the two incidents that we were talking about was the foul, or it was Martinez on Danny Welbeck in the Manchester United versus Brighton game. There's two particular incidences from this particular match, and the first one was a blatant push in the back within the penalty box. Danny Welbeck went down, didn't even get looked at by VAR. Now, as you mentioned, Ref Watch on Sky Sports, it's brilliant because you do get an experienced referee giving his opinion on the situation. I think he's actually involved within the PG or whatever it is, the official match referee and association or whatever it is. And for this particular, I've got to be honest, actually, Dermot Gallagher, I think he's a complete knob. If I'm being completely honest, there's some of the decisions that we spoke about at length last season. He gives his opinions, and it's almost like he's sticking up for the decisions that have been made. The lack of inconsistency, he seems to have an answer for everything, and it really pisses me off because even the pundits within Sky Sports, they're all throwing the particular incident I always go back to was the David Luiz one with the clip of the leg, and David Luiz being sent off. Yeah. And then, in a similar situation where you had Harry Maguire whether it was last year or the year before, effectively wrestle someone to the floor, didn't even get booked for it. And we're like, well, what the fuck is going on? And their excuse is that there was a genuine attempt for the ball. Wrestling someone to the floor is not a genuine attempt for the ball. But that's by the by. That's been and gone. This is the here and now. So Danny Welbeck being fouled within the box. Now, what the pundits were saying is that you can see it's a clear and obvious error, should have been a penalty for Brighton. Why wasn't it given? Dermot Gallagher actually stuck his hands up and said, yeah, the more I've watched this, the more I can tell you it's a foul and an error. But then he come out with some bullshit, excuse my language, that it was it's the first week of the Premier League, there's going to be some teething issues. No, that is not good enough.
It's the third year, though.
Sorry?
It's the third year of the VAR, is it? Or fourth?
It might even been the fourth. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I find that response ludicrous. the highest level in football, one of the best leagues in the world, and you're still getting teething issues. I'm not buying it anymore. I think it's an absolute joke. The second incident on this, it could be the difference between someone being able to play football for the rest of the season or potentially a career-ending injury. I think the only thing and the only justification that they have for this particular incident is the distance between the two players. Now, Scott McTominay, again, going same match, loses control of the ball, and then tries to, I suppose, reach out and kick the ball away because he could see the tackle incoming. However, his foot went over the ball, stud showing right above the guy's ankle, just below his shin, so where there's not a shin pad, through a guy's leg. Now, the distance, as I said, was marginal, but it's still a lack of control. And that's the reason why they're saying it was just a yellow card. Again, so this one kind of split the pundits a little bit by some saying that they kind of get it from the distance aspect. However, that's a potential leg breaker. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily take that amount of force in order to break someone's leg. We've seen Son running at pace with was it Andre Gomez a few years ago? Yeah. Clipped his leg and his leg got broken.
See, so Ben Godfrey as well this week.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's.
I think it should have been. I don't necessarily think it was intentional, so it shouldn't have been a straight red. But then you have to look in the realms of endangering a player, which is a straight red, and that's intentional or unintentional. But it's a definite booking, and he was already on a yellow. And I think the same with Harry Maguire. He was on a yellow, and then he fouled Welbeck as well. And it's like, well, is it because and conspiracy theory incoming? It's Manchester United, who the Premier League, the Manchester United are a big draw worldwide for them as a entity. If they're bottom or say bottom of the mid-table, that's not good. If it was Ronaldo that had been barged in the back, I'm pretty sure it would have been a penalty. But again, I think Paul Tierney, I think the guy who was on Sky Sports, I think that was that Heckingbottom, was it?
Yes.
I think he did very well being playing neutral ground. I think it was a very political answer as to why it went wrong. I think deep down he knows it went wrong because of different reasons. But what I did find out the other day is the commentators can hear the communication between VAR and the ref. They have been able to for the last 2 seasons. So why can't we? Because surely that would make it a red button feature. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. If you don't want to hear it, it don't matter. But make it an option, because I'm sure most people would tune into it. But yeah, I just the Danny Welbeck one. What can you say?
And this is the thing. I mean, we got given a penalty against Spurs. Sorry, we conceded a penalty against Spurs in the second leg, so the away fixture. And Cedric got booked for a foul on Son, I think, at that particular point, for something a lot less.
Yeah.
What they're saying is that essentially the incident is exactly the same. It was an off-the-ball push within the penalty box. So if that is the case, where is that level of consistency? And it's something that we've spoken about so many times before on this channel, is you wouldn't mind if they never gave that incident, or they gave every single one of them. And I think if you start giving every single one of them, people are going to have to work out ways in which to prevent that from happening. And I know that kind of takes away from the game a little bit, because they'll just work out different ways of doing particular things. Yeah. But the level of consistency is appalling. And I said it before, and I've said it again, is because you've got different individuals see different things from different perspectives. We may look at the same piece of video for a particular given subject.
Yep.
And we would all have different feelings about things.
Mm-hmm.
And because these opinions or these decisions are so subjective to the person either who's officiating on the pitch or the person that's officiating from the VAR room, it's absolutely ludicrous. And it's really starting to get to me. I don't see how we can call ourselves the best league in the world when we've got officials the way we have.
Yeah, I think the best league in the world is pointing to players rather than officials, because I think it's a bit like the internet connection. We've got one of the worst connections, pay the most for it across the world. Like out of Mongolia, you get a better connection, you play hardly anything for it. But what can you do? So, do you want to just give us a quick thought on Arsenal while I sort my microphone out?
Yeah, sure.
The Arsenal Crystal Palace game, very very good opener of the season, I think.
Yes, yeah, it was a brilliant spectacle away at Crystal Palace. I did my prediction video. Thank you very much for the people that have watched that. Really do appreciate it. More will be coming along this season, so keep your eyes out for those, for the Premier League fixtures. So, Arsenal travel to Palace. Typically a difficult game for us over the last few years. We've only picked up one win within the last 6 games, 4 draws and 1 loss. So I've got to admit, I was a little bit apprehensive going into this game. However, we had an electric start. First 30 minutes, I thought we were absolutely brilliant. We created several chances and could have been at least 2 or 3 up at that particular point. Aaron Ramsdale, I thought, had a fairly quiet first half, but definitely called into play in the second half, pulled off an absolute brilliant save. I think it was Eze was 1-on-1 through, and luckily Aaron Ramsdale made himself big and kept the goal from going in. Goals from Gabriel Martinelli. It was such an amazing set piece from a corner, and you see Ben White and also I can't remember who was at the edge of the box. But as you see Ben White start to come forward, the free kick's just about to be taken, and then you see him run back. So he pulls Zaha out of position. Zinchenko at the back stick, ball across the middle, headed across, and there was Martinelli to pick up the pieces. A brilliant goal straight off the training pitch. Saka in the second half didn't score the goal, but was certainly instrumental in it. It was his shot that was deflected in. So we come out I'd say very comfortable 2-0 scoreline, very comfortable 2-0 winners. But Palace made a go of it, man.
Oh yeah.
I think we did really well in containing them as much as we did. There's still a few errors within our game, but obviously we've still got a very young squad. We are going to make mistakes from time to time. I think anyone that watched our pre-season and thinks that we're going to be top 3, top 4 as a given, again, I think you're very much deluded. It's something that we're definitely going to have to work on for the rest of the year. One other thing, just going back to the VAR stuff, I think this is more to the level of consistency of the on-field referee. Granit Xhaka was booked for diving, yet about 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, exactly the same thing, goes down in the penalty box trying to get a penalty and doesn't even get booked for it. So if it wasn't a foul, why has it gone down? That's a booking in my opinion, but I'm just a scumbag armchair fan, so what difference does my opinion make?
Yeah, from a neutral perspective with that one, I thought Xhaka's was a blatant dive to try and win a penalty. Eze's, there was contact, but it wasn't very, very minimal.
Well, if there's contact, then surely that should have been a foul.
No, because it's not a non-contact game, is it? But it wasn't enough to bring him down. It wasn't enough for a foul, but it wasn't enough to be able to say that was a clear and blatant dive. Because if you looked back at the video, there was some contact. I think that's the only difference where there wasn't any contact with Xhaka's.
So in which case then, why has Granit Xhaka... I mean, Xhaka wasn't even in the box. It was outside of the box.
Why has he dived? Because he's a fucking idiot.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. How do we know that it wasn't a stumble or he misplaced his feet and fell over?
Oh, he fell over from the shoulders.
You've always got a nitpick, isn't
A very high centre of gravity, but that's from a news perspective. Watching it, I know exactly where you're coming from. I would have the same grievance as a West Ham fan if it happened to my team. But I think from a neutral perspective, that can be the only way they've come to that decision not to book him.
Okay, I'm going to bank that one, and when it happens to you, then...
Oh, yeah, you could bring it back on me. I thought it was a good game. I have made some thoughts about all the teams, so I'll give you my thoughts on Crystal Palace and Arsenal now. They're only very brief. So, Palace, I need to take their chances. They'll do okay, but they are missing Colin Gallagher.
Yep.
I think that was obvious. They did have chances. They hit the post, but they're just not clinical. But I don't think they're any worry about going down. They gave you a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal, I've put a good back to good old Arsenal. Have a shot though.
Yes.
You've gone back to trying to pass it into the net. Fucking, there was points where you're like, just fucking shoot, just shoot. But it didn't happen. But yeah, so I think you'll be all right. You looked all right. Hate to say it. And the other thing, I mean, West Ham closed out the weekend of football. We hosted Manchester City. We all knew it was going to be a hard game. I think we gave Manchester City a very good game, considering our goalkeeper went off early days injured, and the fact that they've got Haaland, who is going to score over 40 goals this season. I've said it over and over again for months. That is going to happen. They got a penalty, which wasn't lucky. I think Ariola had a choice of trying to knock the ball out the way and risking taking down the player, or not doing anything and being rounded and conceding a goal. So he went for it, and it is what it is. We come out and attacked him in the second half and played much better and gave him a game. But the difference is, and the reason I say Haaland's going to score over 40 goals this season, he was sprinting before anyone had even anticipated where the ball was going. He was already making that run. Kevin De Bruyne looked up and went, oh, bloody hell, he's already there. Blistering speed, composed, just phenomenal. His dad weren't happy when he got substituted. That was quite amusing to watch because he left, didn't he? He left at that point. But yeah, they had 2 shots on target, 2 goals. That's why they're champions.
What a ball as well for his second goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal ball.
But yeah, he's a scary player.
For me, it didn't look like he was, or certainly towards as he got to the edge of the penalty box. Obviously, he then had to compose himself, know where he was going for the shot and stuff. But by that point, it was full neck, and like, right, this is it. This is my moment. Bosh, very Henry-esque. Very Henry-esque.
He's the first Man City player to score a double in their debut since Aguero. And I think that says a lot. And I think if he'd kept him on, he probably would have scored 3. But it was blisteringly hot, and they're going to have lots of games this season. So why risk him? Sort of, he's only had 1 game in pre-season. I understand it in a certain respect. But yeah, and then he swore twice in his post-match interview, which was great. So can't fault it. So for West Ham, I've put second half merchants ? Was really a bye week. Season starts against Forest, but we did challenge City. And for City, I've just put Haaland as getting 40 goals.
Fair comments.
I mean, around the rest of the league, do you want me to run through my list very quickly?
Go for it.
So Southampton, poor. Ward-Prowse to Manchester United before too long. Villa looked thick, in brackets, fat, and lazy. Everton, not terrible, what have I put? Not terrible despite not having a main man. Ben Godfrey injured, out for a while. Yep. Idrissa Gana Gueye to come back from PSG might help. So I don't think they played terribly against Chelsea. But yeah, Bournemouth played well, but we'll have a shock next week when they play Manchester City. Chelsea looked defensively vulnerable without Rudiger, but I think will grow into the season. Wolves and Leeds, I've just put bang average. Nothing special stuck out. Spurs, deadly. Kuleveski was open and screaming for the ball more. Watching bits of that game, Spurs fans will be singing his praises. He could have had 7 goals in that game. They just didn't pass him. People weren't looking up. He was in space, shouting at it, arms out. He would have had loads of goals. So they're going to be all right this season, as we said earlier, or in previous episodes. Fulham look like they could stay up if they carry on and play like that every game. Liverpool, the pitch was too dry. That was Jurgen Klopp's excuse. The Núñez goal was good, but it was actually helped him by the defender because it was actually going wide. So I think it should go down as an own goal. Forest, lots of people at the back, too many new players, 12 new signings. Is it too many for a club? Newcastle will do well, but need to switch ringers around at points to get in behind. I think if watching that, if Almiron and St Maximin had switched sides to change feet for what footed they are, they would have torn Forest apart a lot easier. Obviously done Palace and Arsenal. Brighton done well despite losing players, played the game, not the occasion, should have had a penalty. Manchester United shouldn't have got rid of Henderson, need to admit their transfer mistakes in Maguire, etc. And if McAllister wasn't there, Maguire would have cleared the ball off of Brighton's line for that own goal because he was kicking it away, only it bounced off McAllister and went in. Ronaldo, is he the bad influence now? Leicester, will they keep the three players? Would change their season, and Pereira's out for 6 months. Brentford, sloppy start, will be okay as they play as a team. Are they the new Burnley? Very physical, hard to play against, no one's going to want to play them. And we've done West Ham and City already. That's my first week roundup, and now I'm going to breathe.
Good job. Good job.
But yeah, that was my initial...
some good comments there.
Yeah, I mean, that was just my initial thoughts from watching lots of football this weekend. So, yeah, I think we could be in for an interesting season. But, don't know. I could be totally wrong. What do I know? Eh? What do I know? Nothing. Don't know nothing.
So just whilst we were talking about the fixtures over the course of the weekend,
yes.
Each week, or for the last few seasons, myself and Ian, we've done a trophy for the predictions. Funnily enough, we call it the predictions trophy. So each week, obviously, West Ham and Arsenal play, providing there's no COVID suspensions or international breaks or anything like that. But each week, obviously, we pick our respective score lines. We get 3 points for the correct result. 3 points for the correct score, 1 point for the correct result. Yep. So last week, obviously, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal, West Ham versus Manchester City. We'll start with the Crystal Palace Arsenal game. So you predicted 4-1, I predicted 3-0. Had Martinelli actually scored his first attempt, it would have been 3-0, but obviously we know it was 2-0. So it's a point each for the correct result.
Yep.
Going on to the West Ham Man City game, you had 3-1, I had 2-1, and it was 2-0, so it's a point each. So the start of the season, both on 2 points. There we go.
That was a big draw.
Yes.
3 games this week, though.
Yes.
I'll let you introduce them, what they are.
Okay, so on the Saturday, Arsenal have got Leicester coming to the Emirates. Excuse me, Nottingham Forest host West Ham, and Chelsea host Tottenham Hotspur. So those are the 3 fixtures that we are going to talk about this week for our predictions. I'll go first, obviously, because we're on the Saturday at 3 o'clock. Obviously, like I said, very fast start for us at the weekend. Gabriel Jesus, I thought, was absolutely brilliant up until the point he was substituted off. And I think, to be honest, we just needed to change the dynamic of the team. But injury permitting, obviously, if we don't pick up anything during the week, during training, I can see us starting with the same lineup again that we saw at the weekend. Leicester, obviously, conceded a two-goal lead against Brentford at the weekend. So they are, and they, as you mentioned, obviously have potential outgoings as well over the next couple of weeks. Notably, one possibly to us. I know it's a player that we have been interested in previously, Yuri Tillemans, but again, that remains to be seen. So for this scoreline, based on the first games of the season, I think Leicester are going to be up for it a little bit more, but I am going to put us comfortable winners at 3-1.
Fair enough. I don't think you're too far wrong. Zinchenko for me was absolutely phenomenal for you. And if he doesn't get pushed into midfield, he's keeping Tierney out of the squad playing like that, which would be quite concerning because Tierney's one of your best players. But I've gone on the basis that Tielemans is either going to go to Arsenal this week or PSG, that Fofana's going to end up at Chelsea, and that means that Maddison will end up going to Newcastle as well. So they'll lose 3 big players, which have a big effect. They'll be all right, I think, because they've got quite a decent squad. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers knows what he's doing. He's not new to the league. But I've gone 2-1 to Arsenal.
Cool.
And then we move on to the Sunday fixture, because we're in Conference League. We host, Nottingham Forest host us. And Jesse Lingard, we are coming for you. He is going to have the worst game of his life, even if he's not playing, because those away fans are not going to let up for 90 minutes or more. 3-0 to West Ham. Skamaka to score his first goal and Cornet to be playing, I reckon. We're going to tear them a new one.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Looking at their first game, again, I'm not sure if it's the occasion that got to them, but they, I think it was against Newcastle, wasn't it? Newcastle looked very comfortable against Nottingham Forest. Again, I think going back to our predictions video, I think this is a team that we said was likely to struggle this season, maybe a bit of a yo-yo club for the next couple of years, but I am going for a West Ham 2-1 on this one.
Fair enough. And you want to take Tottenham Chelsea?
Yeah, so on Sunday, I believe it's the 4 o'clock kickoff. Tottenham travel to Stamford Bridge. Do you know what? I'm actually really excited for this game as a neutral. One, because I would love to see Tottenham fans pegged down or taken down a peg or two already, and we're only in the second game of the season. They're already coming out saying that they're going to win the league, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, obviously, we don't want other teams running away with it. So I think a draw would be a fantastic result for us. Both, I think Chelsea may struggle with goals this year. Bearing in mind, obviously, they only had, or they got rid of Lukaku year after he come in. But again, I think they've got goals in them, but they are lacking that out-and-out goal scorer as it stands at the moment. But I'm going to go for 2-2 on this one.
Fair enough. I think that Chelsea, if this game was in 6 weeks' time, they would be better prepared. I think they've gone a bit football manager with buying and signing, and it's going to take a little while for those players to gel. The differences between Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, Chelsea are buying top-end quality, sort of already well-known superstars. So I think they'll get a goal, but I think Tottenham will run right a little bit, 3-1 to Tottenham.
Sorry, go
on. Just a quick bit of news. Manchester United have agreed a deal to sign Rabiot, who has not settled at a club for a while. He was a bit of a French wonder kid, but has not settled. He's been a bit of a trouble player. And they're going back in for Marko Arnautovic.
That was a strange announcement. £9 million rejected.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They've upped it, and apparently they're very close to signing Benjamin Sesko from Salzburg, which will be a good signing, but I think it will ruin him. It's a young player, but I think it will ruin him because they're not at the peak of their powers. Would have been a brilliant signing, but for someone to pull you out the fire, putting that on the shoulders of a very young, raw talent, hard to do. But yeah, I think Tottenham, going back to Tottenham Chelsea, I think, I hate to say it, Tottenham are going to be fighting this season. They're going to win something. I've told you that. They're going to win something.
Yeah. I hope not.
Hopefully Levy upsets Conte before the end of the season. He just goes, I'm not doing it no more.
They'll get to a final and he'll get the sack.
Yeah.
So, no, can't be dealing with that. We know there's the bottlers around here.
Yeah, it would be good. Yeah, not allowed to win anything, mate. You not read that in the small print. I think it'll be another interesting week of football. Hopefully there's not any more controversies. But there will be a controversy at some point, and that is who will be sacked first. I have my thoughts pegged on either Ralph Hasenhüttl of Southampton or Steven Gerrard of Aston Villa. I mean, I'm welcome to you're welcome to throw in more names in the hat if you want to. I did think about the Forest manager Steve Clarke, but from where he's brought them from sitting bottom of the table last January to being in the Premier League, I can't see him get rid of him. Marco Silva from Fulham, I thought was up there, but I think he'll get a little bit of grace period, and I think Scotty Parker from Bournemouth will also get a little bit of a grace period. But in terms of Premier League games, Villa have 7 games since their last win. This is trailing back to last season, obviously, and 5 wins in their last 15 games. 3 of those games were against relegated teams, and all 3 wins came against, or 3 wins came against relegated teams, and they bowed out of the FA Cup at the 3rd round last season. They spent £166 million in the last 3 transfer windows. They did bring in 149, so it's a net spend of 17 million, but £100 million of that was for Grealish, and that's not including Coutinho's loan fee of a reported 18 to 20 million pounds.
Jesus.
Southampton have lost 8 games without a win, and they've had 3 wins in the last 15 Premier League games, and again those 3 came against relegated teams. They did, however, reach the 6th round of the FA Cup where they went out to Manchester City, so I think a bit of a better cup run. They've spent £89 million in the last 3 windows, bought in 55, which is a net spend of 34 million. I think for a long time we've been discussing when will the Southampton bubble burst, because they seem to sell all their best players. Yep. James Ward-Prowse is now sort of the last really good player who's probably playing above his station or below his station, depending on what you look at it, at Southampton. He might go in this window, who knows. But they have... My thoughts are this. Ralph Hasenhüttl has brought a distinct style that they're quite happy with. He's bringing in money, spending money, okay, you might say in a bigger way than what Steven Gerrard has. If you take out Jack Grealish's, I think Villa have spent more. But what was I going to say? He generally will lose big and then win big and go on a little run, where Gerrard has spent a lot of money, realised he's not playing football in Scotland anymore, and everyone's going, how good it is, how good it is. He's brought in all these big names on big wages, on big money, and the results are no better. And it's like, if he'd got to 6th round of the FA Cup and maybe in the later stages of the League Cup, might have bought him a bit of time. My money, if I'm honest, is on Aston Villa. I think they have higher expectations than Southampton will have this season. And from looking at them, Southampton look poor, but James Ward-Prowse shone. But I think they'll be all right-ish. Villa didn't look like they wanted to play. They all looked thick for football players. And there was the lack of movement. For Gerrard saying my style is a high press, no, there was none of that going on. This is the first game of the season. It's not like we've played 50 games this year and had just come off the World Cup in the desert and your whole team's gone. This was the first game. They didn't look up for it. That's why I think...
Maybe it meant burger press.
Burger press. Fucking hell.
Maybe.
Fucking... But put my name down for an extra point. Steven Gerrard to be sacked first.
Okay.
What's your thoughts?
I, having given it some thoughts, I think this could come down to this whole historic debate, Gerrard or Lampard. Who's the better manager / player? It's a question that
if you haven't watched that episode, go back and watch it.
Yeah, exactly. We've had this discussion before in the middle of last season. Now, to be honest, I do seriously think it's going to come down to these. Obviously, Everton fans have been through a lot over the last few years, just about scraping the relegation battle last year by the skin of their teeth. Granted, the job was done at the time that they come to the Emirates on the last day of the season, got absolutely spanked. And we spanked them again in pre-season. I don't know. Obviously, they've lost a key player as well. Richarlison's gone, so I don't know where the goals are going to come from this year. Obviously, I know it depending on whether Calvert-Lewin stays fit, as we mentioned last week. But I genuinely think it's going to come down to one of these two. Now, just on the basis that you've gone for Gerrard, I think I'll go for Lampard
Fair enough.
on this. For an extra point, I'm going to go for Lamps.
So I did contemplate Lampard, and the reason I thought against it is the Everton owner seems like he wants to take a step back from Everton. So Lampard, I think, was on a 4 or 5 year deal. And my thought behind that is, if he wants to take a step back, he's not going to want to pay out a manager to bring in a new one and hope that it sticks better, knowing that the new manager, as they always do, will want more backing. And also the fact that they've sold Richarlison for big money. They've not really invested big money in the squad as far as I can see. Calvert-Lewin's out injured, so he'll go, well, I've got no strikers. We haven't bought one and you sold me only other goal scorer. And the other thing being is he can now go, well, my best defender's now injured. He broke his ankle in spurious circumstance. Like, that's outside of my control. So we're doing the best with the squad that's fit at the minute. So I think that, I don't think he will necessarily last the season, but I don't think he'll be first for those reasons. That's why I ruled him out. That was my thing, thought trail behind him. But he did pop up in my head of going, okay. What do we think?
Yes, it's definitely something I've been thinking about since the conversation that we had last season. And I think we had that conversation, or we touched on that subject a little bit last week as well. Just in relation to the overall winners, go and check out, we've got a couple of videos. So obviously we've got the podcast from last week, but we do actually have a shortened version down of our predictions as well on the YouTube channel. Go and check it out, or check out our other videos as well. But you'll be able to see who we've gone for as a combined effort.
Yep.
For our predicted table for this season. Not necessarily in that order. We've tried to keep it in order as much as possible, but it's something obviously we can look back at the end of the season to see how correct we were.
Yeah. And say, let us know who you think the first manager that is going to be sacked in the comments section below. On YouTube, obviously, if you're watching it on other things, get at us on Twitter. All the links will be in the description. But I don't have anything footballing wise to say. I think I've got a bit football blind, if I'm honest, after this weekend. But have you got anything to add?
No, mate. No, nothing. Obviously, we touched on the Lionesses winning the Euros last week as well. Well done to them. It's good to see, actually. We've got the upturn in tickets being sold, certainly from an Arsenal perspective. Apparently, they've already sold 20,000 tickets for the upcoming Arsenal versus Spurs ladies.
That's not being played at Boreham Wood, surely?
No. That's being played at the Emirates.
I was going to say,
they're looking to increase the number of games at the Emirates, obviously depending on the capacity and stuff. So it's good to see people getting behind it. Obviously, that the female game is only going to grow and grow, and obviously thanks to the efforts for the England ladies football team. I think it can only be a good thing.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be a controversy to come with a transgender player at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So until next week, I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
I'm very controversial, and we'll see you next week.